Hello everyone, welcome back to the Gallowgateshots FPL show. You're here with just me, Daniel, today. Unfortunately, Matt is off skiving yet again. He's upgraded this time though. He's not camping. He is actually on a proper holiday, I think somewhere in the Balearics. So, like I say, it's just going to be me. Now, because I'm alone, I thought with just 3 games left until match day 16, which is where we all get to wildcard before the World Cup, I thought I'd just go through each team from best to worst in terms of targeting assets. And then I think as I get down to the bottom, it's going to be, if you've got any of these, you're going to need to look to get rid of them as well. Once I've done that, shouldn't take too long, we'll quickly run through how my team did, shock, red arrow, and then we will look at the Gallowgateshots League. So we'll not waste any time. We'll jump right into it. And we are going to look, unfortunately, one of the best teams to get in are the Scouse Mackems. So Everton, I was fortunate enough to have Connor Cody's 6 points this week. They did get a clean sheet and they've got some must-have fixtures. They have the best fixtures coming up. They've got Fulham away. So obviously Mitro and Andreas are going to be the main threats to a clean sheet there. They've got Leicester at home, who are starting to score a few goals. And then Bournemouth away, which is juicy. Dominic Solanke got injured at the weekend. No idea how long he's out for. I think he got injured on the Monday night, sorry. That was the fixture that they played. I don't know how long he's out for. It is something to address. If he's out for more than 3 weeks, that's a lot of their goal threat gone. So I think Everton could be dark horses to jump on. Now, in terms of their players, Pickford, 4.5. We are all itching for value goalkeepers because Guaita, throw him on the pile of crap with Meslier, the rest of them, terrible. There's all dross at the 4.5 million. And Pickford could be a good player to go for at that price point. Connor Cody, with 44 points this season so far. He's changed their defence around. He has done really, really well, proving he can play in a 4, not just a 5. And Mikalenko, he does look like he can get forward, get some assists. I think he got an assist at the weekend as well. He's up to 36 points for the season. Everton didn't do great at the start. They are looking better. They look a little bit more organised. And especially, like I say, with Cody coming in, he's changed a lot at the back for them. So Mikalenko, 4.5, Pickford at 4.5. I mean, I know it's heartbreaking, suggesting a Mackem. I take it all back. Connor Cody, 4.9. That's who I have. And then just as a complete differential, Alex Iwobi is just been chugging along with points. So he actually has, at 5.5 million, 51 points this season so far, which isn't bad at all, considering he's a terrible footballer. He got 12 points against Palace. He did get a couple of blanks against Newcastle and Tottenham, but, you know, top 4 teams. He got 9 points against Man United, 5 against Southampton, 6 against West Ham, 5 against Leeds. So I think it's been quite consistent, and I've been very surprised because, like I say, he's shit. But I don't care if he gets points. And I think a lot of people maybe are looking to shift to a different player in midfield to maybe stack some money elsewhere, especially when we look at the next team, Manchester City, who have Leicester away. Danny Ward has actually turned it round somehow. He's getting lots of points recently, but I do fancy Man City to absolutely batter these. Haaland taken off at half-time today for the Champions League. I'm recording on a Tuesday night. So did Cancelo, so probably expect them to start. Foden got 80 minutes before taking off. And Mahrez, with his 3rd absolute howler in a row, missed yet another penalty. I'm not sure if he'll retain his place. They've had Fulham in game week 15. You couldn't ask for much better. And then Brentford, who are conceding a lot of goals. So I think the triple Man City, is what we need, not Manchester United. Definitely don't trouble with Manchester United. But the triple Manchester City is on. I think we all have Cancelo. I think we all have Haaland. If you don't, I don't know quite what's going on. So it all comes out to the 3rd player. Do you want to double up in defence? I'm not too sure because Brentford still have Tony, Fulham still have Mitrovic, Leicester still have Maddison. So you never know. These are types of players that can score from sort of any kind of situation. Fulham get a corner, they're immediately dangerous. Leicester get a free kick, immediately dangerous. So let's scream at Tielemans scored. It doesn't matter how good you are. I think we're all going to be looking for another midfielder. Now, I already have triple Man City. I went for Foden, and I still think he's probably going to be the best choice. But if you are looking for something a little bit different, maybe you don't have the money to go to Foden, then Bernardo Silva is looking just as good. He's less likely to get goals, but as we've seen, he wins penalties, he gets assists, and I think he's really, really likely to play. He didn't play in the Champions League, so he's pretty much nailed on. And that's what you want from Man City assets more than anything. Any of them can pass to Haaland. And if he's going to score, then we're all in the money. Moving on to the other club from Manchester, they have, on paper, the third best fixtures, with West Ham at home, who are sort of flip-flopping. They kind of do all right one week, not so well the other. So lucky again in their game against Bournemouth with volleyball from Kerr. Villa away, and then Fulham away. So I'm not too sure about Man United defenders. I've seen a lot of people going for Dalot, but Villa look like they could score goals. Obviously, they got 4 at the weekend. I think Brentford were terrible at the back, so it's maybe not too much to look at. But Emery is a fantastic coach. I'm not sure any different. Some Villa fans aren't happy with it. I don't know what the hell they want. He's far too good for them. So I think that they could sneak some goals. They could pose some kind of a challenge now that Gerrard's gone, because on paper they do have good players generally. Fulham, again, the Mitrovic factor, you're always a little bit concerned. West Ham being the Jekyll and Hyde. But I think this opens the door for players like Marcus Rashford, who are really cheap, have loads of points. And Bruno Fernandes, who once upon a time people were talking about being essential. It was 12 million last season, I think. And with the introduction of Ronaldo into the team, he's just fallen off a cliff performance-wise. And he's sort of getting back to it. You can see he's getting his mojo back. He's complaining less. He's playing better. And he is getting some attacking returns. For those that aren't convinced on Salah or Son or De Bruyne in the middle, I mean, I didn't mention De Bruyne, but he didn't start tonight either. So if you have the money, I'd go De Bruyne, by the way, Man City. But if you're looking for something different and you have that amount of money to spend, maybe you're sick of Sterling falling over himself, Bruno Fernandes is a great differential. West Ham, Villa, Fulham. Bournemouth, still up next with great fixtures. Tottenham at home. We've just played Tottenham. They are fairly abject. I do see Bournemouth maybe struggling to break them down. Could be a good game for Son, actually, this one, because they play a lot of defenders. They play 5 defenders across the back, 3 holding midfielders, and they've got Son and Kane just lumped up front. Kane trying to drop into the 8. Bentancur trying to run 30 yards with a ball every time. Not really much of a plan. So if you have Billing, I think that'd be the only player you'd have other than Solanke. But again, if Solanke's injured, you're going to get rid of him. After that, Leeds away. They aren't great defensively. And then Everton at home, which I think they might struggle with. So it could be time. It could be time to start losing those Bournemouth players. But if you have them, there's no injuries, and you maybe have other concerns, I don't think it's the end of the world if you've got to keep them. I hope none of you have got Bournemouth defenders. Definitely get rid of them if you've got Bournemouth defenders. Up next, Brighton. Been a mixed one for them as well. They haven't really had the new manager bounce. Very difficult to take over from Potter. Chelsea next. And Potter will know, obviously, the Brighton players better than the current manager knows them. So you'd expect Chelsea to do well in that one. Good Champions League result tonight as well. They've then got Wolves away, which you'd expect them to smash, and Villa, which again, Villa are an unknown quantity at the minute. The Brummy Mackhams, you never know what you're going to get out of them because of the change, and we saw how well they did at the weekend. It's not worrying for, like, as a Newcastle fan, but as an FPL player, it's a bit of a headache because you just expect, yes, Brighton versus Villa when Gerrard's in charge. Give me the points. I think a lot of people are going to have Bossard. You definitely got to keep him. You have to keep him for Wolves especially, but then you can still do it against Villa. Other players, Alexis McAllister, Welbeck, if you've got them, I think you're still going to keep them as well. Maybe wouldn't be too sure about the defenders for this week, but you wouldn't fancy Wolves to score past them. at their price point, I think you just want to be holding Brighton players. You certainly don't want to be bringing them in, though. Crystal Palace, these are causing me a massive headache. I think they've caused a lot of people some hardship with Gahey and Guaita in goal in particular. Some people have Anderson. They don't look solid at the back at all. They've got Southampton coming up next at home, then West Ham away, then Nottingham Forest away. I actually think these are bad fixtures for them. It says that they're good on paper. Southampton at home, I do think's quite all right. Southampton aren't pulling up any trees. Ward-Prowse, if you don't give him a free kick, you're pretty safe. And I think Che Adams is maybe their best player. It sort of sums them up, really. So I think for the next game, actually, playing that double defence could be handy. And if you have Zaha, I think you could keep him for this game week. Eze would be a really interesting player to bring in. I think he's a better player than Zaha. And he just sneaks points. Also less likely to get yellow cards as well. But West Ham away is not a fun fixture. And Nottingham Forest away will not be easy for them either. Nottingham Forest have been very, very good at home. If this was at Selhurst Park, then fair enough. I think you can make a better argument, but I think Forest are a much better team when they're actually playing at home. And I think by game week 15, you want to be trying to bin your Palace assets, which is great for me because I have 3 of them. What a nightmare. Up next, the Mighty Mags. So, Villa at home, Southampton away, Chelsea at home. Honestly, with the way that we're playing at the minute, I fancy us to win all 3 games. What I would say is, are these games where we're going to give them a good hiding? I honestly don't think so. Asked me 2 weeks ago about Villa. I think we could have beat them 6-0. Again, there is a change. It's always hard to predict. I do think we'll win. In terms of assets, I don't think there's any secrets. You're all Newcastle fans if you watch this. You know who to go for. Trips at the back. He's so highly owned anyway. Free kicks, assists, bonus magnet. He's always in the bonus somehow. I don't think Nick Pope's a great option at the minute. Personally, just for his price, I think you might be able to get better goalkeepers at that. If you've got him, of course you're going to keep him. You're not going to move him on at all. King Miggy is such a great option at his price. 6 goals in 6 games, I think. Tweeted the other day that he now has more goals, the same amount of goals this season as David Ginola did in his entire Newcastle career. So make of that what you will. But he's just playing with so much confidence. We can all see that. He's always tried to take people on, but in front of goal, we've never fancied him, let's be honest. And now he's scoring some worldies, and it's giving him confidence in the box, and it's all going really well for him. And I think we should all be getting on him as soon as possible. I still won't, and it's purely for the jinx factor. I think I've mentioned this before. I owned him, benched him for 1 week. He scored against Man City, continued to own him. As soon as I sold him, he scored in every game. So for the benefit of Geordies everywhere, I'll not bring him in. Wilson, of course, why would you not want to bring in Callum Wilson against Villa, Southampton, and even Chelsea? I just think our players speak for themselves, really. We know who we should be going for. Bruno's still a good shout. On to Arsenal. Matt and I said a little while ago that maybe the Jesus train's over. Now, maybe Nottingham Forest at home isn't the game that you want to be bidding him. He's got Chelsea away next, not ideal. And then Wolves away, which could be okay for him. But I do think there are better Arsenal assets. I think you should probably be looking to have a defender. Saliba, I believe, is on a yellow card at the minute, so is 1 away from suspension. So maybe Gabriel is the one to go for. Ben White, who's playing excellent at the minute. You can even go Ramsdale and goal. So I do think you should go for a defender with those 3 fixtures. Nottingham Forest, Wolves. You could expect 2 clean sheets there, I think. But then in midfield, Granit Xhaka. So this is match day 3, and he's actually doing it. He's outstanding this season. I don't know where it came from because he was awful before then. So Granit Xhaka, Saka, Martinelli still an option. Odegaard, I'd personally go for 2 of those and a defender, and maybe go for a different forward. Over Jesus, now that I've said it, Q a Gabriel Jesus hat trick. Liverpool, another Jekyll and Hyde. Leeds at home, you'd expect them to give them a good battering. But I think Leeds' results aren't reflective of actually how they've been playing. They've not been playing well, but I don't think they've been playing terribly. They've not been playing for that the losses have suggested. So Salah is a great pick for this week, surely. But then they have Tottenham away, Southampton at home. You'd expect them, again, to be Southampton at home. Tottenham away, I think, could be tough for them. Neither team's in great form, though. So you never know. Klopp is having a bit of a nightmare with these formations at the minute. He's flip-flopping around 4-4-2s at the minute. I don't like Salah in the 9. I don't like him in a 7. He's definitely a right winger, where he's further forward and you can exploit the space in there. So I wouldn't be rushing to get them in. Nunez, we're not sure about his fitness, but if he plays, you'd fancy him to score in those games. Firmino, you don't know if he's going to play because of Nunez, even though I think he deserves to play, and I think he's arguably been Liverpool's best player this season. I don't think I could name a better Liverpool player. Obviously, they're a bit of a mess on the left. I wouldn't be bringing in defenders, even against Leeds and Southampton. They just look like they could concede to anyone, Liverpool, at the minute. And it's a shame because if they were playing to their full potential, I mean, it's not a shame to Liverpool, fuck them. But it's a shame for FPL because if they were playing to their full potential, Leeds, Tottenham, Southampton, you'd be all over triple Liverpool. Forest don't have bad fixtures. I mean, terrible next one, Arsenal away, but then Brentford at home and Crystal Palace at home. Mentioned. They're a much better team at home. So Nico Williams owners, if you've still got them, you're definitely keeping them. Beyond that, I don't know why you'd own any of them. Because there's no real talismanic figure. There's not one player getting in the goals every week. They're all sort of chipping in here or there. And I don't think you're proactively bringing in defenders at this point. But if you have Nico Williams at his price, you absolutely want to keep him. Bench him for Arsenal. You could maybe play him Brentford. You could absolutely play him against Crystal Palace. Spurs, Bournemouth away. Great fixture for them, obviously, as we've discussed. Son and Kane, standout options as ever. Kulusevski, Richarlison, I think, are still injured. We'll obviously learn more after tomorrow's, will be today's, I suppose, by the time that everyone watches this, Champions League game. But they are pretty terrible in terms of their system at the minute, how they play. Conte's teams tend to have very high, wide wing backs. And at the minute, they're playing just kind of as full-backs. They do occasionally get forward, but they don't really have the quality in there at the minute. I don't particularly rate Sessegnon or Emerson or Doherty. Perisic has been in and out. I still think he's struggling for fitness. But the major issue is the central midfield area. 3 holding midfielders isn't the one, really. So everything has to go through Son or Kane. Son could have had a couple of goals against us comfortably that he squandered. And I think against a team like Bournemouth, he could be in with a lot of joy. That being said, I think over the course of the 3 fixtures, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Leeds, Kane is probably the better pick. Not ideal, that Liverpool game, but Leeds, again, conceding a bucket load. I wouldn't be rushing to bring in Spurs players. But if you've got them, in terms of Son or Kane, you can keep them. If you have anyone else, I would get rid of them, especially if you're a Kulu owner at this point. I think the rest of the teams are sort of just in the middle, meandering. So I'm going to now cherry pick some teams. We've got West Ham, Man United away. Not a great fixture at the minute. Man United have absolutely turned it around. They look like a much, much better team, well organised, actually have some clear identity and system that they're working to. But West Ham then have Crystal Palace at home and Leicester at home. So Jared Bourne, Scamacca, I think 2 players that should be on everyone's radars. I don't think it's worth bringing in a defender just for that Palace game because I still think Leicester will probably score against them. But Bowen, if you have him, I've seen some people looking to get rid of him. I don't know why, just because Man United, it's one game. Palace and Leicester, you'd expect them to score. And Scamacca, like I say, as a forward, is a differential option. Brentford, Wolves, Nottingham Forest, Man City. So Ivan Toney owners, you're going to want to keep him and play him for Wolves and Nottingham Forest, surely. You could maybe look to take a 1 week punt again, week 16, when they have Manchester City. Although it's not like they're defending great at the minute anyway. I appreciate they've kept a 0-0 draw, so kept a clean sheet tonight. But they've actually not been keeping loads of clean sheets recently. If we move on just to maybe some of the worst teams, we'll go for Fulham, Everton at home, then Man City, then Man United. So Mitrovic owners, probably time to get rid of him in match day 15. Andres Pereira, because of his price, you can keep him and bench him. And like, you never know, he might get an assist from a corner or something. He's been getting a few assists recently. Definitely not rushing to bring anyone in from that team. Same with Leicester, City at home, Everton away. Everton are much better at home. And then West Ham away. So Madison owners, you might want to be looking to change that now. And finally Leeds, because I think some people may have midfielders like Rodrigo, Sinisterra, maybe even Bamford up front. If anyone went with Strike after Matt's suggestion, Liverpool away, Bournemouth at home, Tottenham away. It's just not looking really fun. Bournemouth obviously could be a good fixture at home, but beyond that, I'm not too sure. I mean, Liverpool, they don't look great at the back, but I still don't think I want any of those players. So that was just a run through of quite a few of the teams, as I just thought there's only 3 games left until we all get a wild card, and it might be handy just having a look at some of the players, maybe where we should be looking to go to. We'll try and include graphics for all those as well, just so that everyone can see, maybe screenshot, in case you don't have access to any of the information. Now, we'll have a quick look at how my team did. I'm going to fly through this because there were lots of 2s. In fact, I'll name everyone that got a 2. Guaita, Trippier, Cancelo, Sinisterra, Martinelli, Son, Tony, and then Foden got a 1. People that got points, Cody was 6, Haaland captain 26, Mitrovic 6. Fairly disastrous, 5.2 million game week rank, and that left me at an overall rank of 888,000. So still in the top million. Not entirely sure how when I had such a bad rank, but I think it was just all the points were fairly bunched up. I think a lot of people missed this weekend in terms of points. So it's all going not too bad. But if we look at the Gallowgateshots FPL League, there is absolutely no surprise that Liam Woodfine is still top of the league, 57 points this week, 823 overall. Just 10 points ahead now. John Warren rising to second with 76 points this week. Well done, mate. Let's have a little look, see who you had. Why not? We'll big you up. So John Warren, lots of 2s and 1s as well, but you had Almiron's 10, Andreas's 10, Xhaka's 10, get in, and a 26er as well from Haaland. So well done to you, mate. Obviously listen to the pod. So, obviously, because there's no match here, we can't play our ridiculous game. So I think he just forfeits and I won't let me go to 3-1 up. I don't know, you might contest that. But thank you so much for listening, everyone. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. We are just over 9,000 subscribers, I think. So if we can keep on going, that'll be absolutely fantastic. Best of luck, everyone. Hopefully, green arrows abound, especially for me and Matt. We'll bloody well need them. See you later.